Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to this special edition of the Sweetwater Minute. I've got big news for you today from Universal Audio. Let's take a look. We're very excited today to bring you a brand new interface from Universal Audio, the Apollo 16. Now, we've showed you the Apollo interface before. That interface has 4 microphone preamps, digital and analog I/O, and a built-in UAD2 card for running Universal Audio's plugins. The new interface is aimed at slightly different applications. It has 16 high-quality inputs and outputs, so it's designed for those who don't need built-in microphone preamps with their interface, but rather need maximum inputs and outputs for connecting external hardware, whether it's a summing box, external microphone preamps, or external hardware processors as part of their mixing process. The back panel of the Apollo 16 is where we find all of the connectivity. We've got 16 line inputs and line outputs. Each of these uses a very high quality converter, and Universal Audio has optimized the analog circuitry that surrounds those converters for the purest possible signals. We've also got word clock input and output for synchronizing with the rest of your digital gear. There are MADI input and output on this, but they're not actually designed for use with external equipment. Rather, they're used for chaining 2 Apollo 16s together. In addition to the 16 line inputs and outputs, we have a dedicated stereo pair of monitor outputs, and we have a stereo pair of AES EBU digital inputs and outputs. The front panel of the Apollo 16 is very clean. We've got a single switch for selecting whether the meters are displaying input or output signals, and we've got a control for setting the volume of the monitor outputs. In addition to that, we have LED meters that show us what's going on with the 16 channels. We've got a set of meters that display the monitor output, and then we have displays that indicate the status of various settings within the interface. To take advantage of all that the Apollo 16 offers, Universal Audio has also redesigned the console software. Now, it looks very similar to what we had before. We've got insert points here for our UAD plugins, we've got an aux send, we've got a Q send, but there is a difference. We actually have 4 Q sends available inside the console, and those 4 Q sends can be routed to any 4 pairs of stereo outputs on the audio interface, which can then in turn be routed to your headphone amplifiers. As I mentioned before, using the MADI connections on the back panel, you can connect 2 Apollo 16s together, which gives you 32 inputs and outputs. When you do that, the console expands so that the 2 interfaces actually appear as one big interface inside the software. As with the previous Apollo, the Apollo 16 connects to your computer by FireWire 800, or you can add an optional Thunderbolt card for connecting with that format. Now, the Apollo 16 includes a UAD2 quad card, so you can run a ton of Universal Audio's plugins at once. You have a lot of options for those. You can use them as you're tracking, so you can use them on the input. When you do that, you have sub 2 millisecond latency. You can also use those same plugins using that same quad card built into the Apollo 16 to run plugins within your DAW during your mixing and mastering process. With the Apollo 16, Universal Audio has really maximized the quality of the analog to digital and the digital to analog conversion. This interface sounds great. With that built-in quad card, you can run all the Universal Audio plugins. You can cascade 2 together to get 32 inputs and outputs. So if what you need are a large number of line inputs and line outputs from your audio interface connected to your computer, the Apollo 16 is a great way to go. I hope you've enjoyed this exclusive first look at Universal Audio's Apollo 16. This is a very exciting new audio interface. And thanks for joining me for this special edition of the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.